feel like a woman.
We interrupt this broadcast to bring you something much more interesting. Imagine yourself standing before a door. It is a strange yet inviting door. You unlock this door with the key of imagination. Beyond this door you will find another world. A world of horror, adventure, and fantasy. A world that goes beyond what you know and what you don't. I bid you welcome. You have just entered the Geek Zone.
Well, did you have a nice nap?
As a matter of fact, I did.
What have you done for you? You know, since you blew up my house, you could at least help me unload.
You haven't rebuilt my legs yet.
Oh. Yeah, I forgot. Well, I did reattach your arms, so you could at least help me unpack. You know, I'm not really sure why that mayor was such a jerk. I mean, he didn't have to be so mean. He acted like he never saw a city block blown up. Or two. Or three. Or however many in this town. But my point is that he didn't Good gosh. You just...
Hey, Justin.
Hmm?
What is this?
No, we are not doing that. You're gonna help me unpack.
Okay.
Oh, all right. But after you watch this, you're gonna help me unpack. Promise?
Promise.
All right.
Candyland is a simple racing board game. It is among the first board games played by American children as it requires no reading and minimal counting skills. The race is woven around a storyline about finding the lost king of Candyland. The board consists of a winding linear track made of 134 spaces, most red, green, blue, yellow, orange, or purple. The remaining spaces are named locations such as Candy Cane Forest, Gumdrop Mountain, or characters such as Queen Frostine and Grandma Nut. Players take turns removing the top card from a stack, most of which show one of 6 colors, and then moving their marker ahead to the next space of that color. Some cards have 2 marks of a color, in which case the player moves his or her marker ahead to the second next space of that color. The deck has 1 card for each named location, and drawing such a card moves the player directly to that board location. This move can either be forward or backward in the classic game. Backward moves can be ignored for younger players in the 2004 version of the game. Before the 2004 version, there were 3 colored spaces marked with a dot. A player who lands on such a space is stuck. All cards are ignored until a card is drawn of the same color as the square. In the 2004 version, dot spaces were replaced with licorice spaces that prompt the player landing on it to simply lose a turn. The game is won by landing on or passing the final square. The official rules specify that any card that would cause the player to advance past the last square wins the game, but many play so that one must land exactly on the last square to win. The 2004 version changed the last space to a rainbow space, meaning it applies to any color drawn by a player, thus clarifying any remaining controversy about how one exactly wins the game. The classic game takes longer to complete than one might expect, because the location cards can send players backwards. Also, the dot spaces could force players to exhaust several turns without moving. Time for some history. The game was designed in the 1940s by Eleanor Abbott, while she was recovering from polio in San Diego, California. The game was bought by Milton Bradley Company, now owned by Hasbro, and first published in 1949. Hasbro produces several versions of the game and treats it as a brand. For example, they market Candyland Puzzles, a travel version, a PC game, and a handheld electronic version. A December 2005 article in Forbes magazine analyzed the most popular American toys by decade, with the help of the Toy Industry Association. Candyland led the list for the 1940-1949 decade. At least 4 versions of Candyland board game were made. The first dates from 1949. This version, and other early versions, had only locations, Molasses Swamp, Gumdrop Mountains, etc., and no characters. The next version, made in 1962, shows a track layout different from the more recent versions. One further revision was made before characters were introduced. The The next version of the game, from the 1980s to 1990s, introduced the characters such as Mr. Mint and Grandma Nut, has the modern track layout, and ends in a purple square. As stated before, in most modern versions there is a rainbow striped square at the end to make the official rule visually explicit. The rules for the modern game also specify that a character card resulting in a backward move can be ignored, resulting in a much shorter game if desired. Some of the characters and place names are changed in the 2002 version. Queen Frostine became Princess Frostine. The classic Molasses Swamp was changed to Chocolate Swamp, and the character Plumpy was removed entirely. A VCR board game version of the game was made in 1986, although distribution of the game appears to have been limited. An animated 2005 feature, Candyland: The Great Lollipop Adventure, was produced and later spawned a DVD game version of the Candyland. The Give the Kids the World Village edition of Candyland was produced by Hasbro especially for the Give the Kids the World Village. The Give the Kids the World Village is a non-profit resort in Kissimmee, Florida for children with life-threatening illnesses and their families. In this version, traditional Candyland characters and locations were replaced with venues from characters of the village. Characters like Mayor Clayton, Miss Mary, and others were represented on the board. There are licensed versions of Candyland with characters such as Winnie the Pooh, Dora the Explorer, and SpongeBob. Now here's some interesting information you can use to impress your friends at parties. Candyland was involved in one of the first disputes over internet domain names. An adult website registered the domain name Candyland.com, and Hasbro objected. Hasbro was able to obtain an injunction against the use, and change the content appropriately after claiming ownership of the site. Now, would you believe this? On February 5th, 2009, Universal Pictures has announced to make a movie based on the popular Candyland board game. Ethan Cohen, a writer on both Madagascar Escape to Africa and Tropic Thunder, has been hired to write the screenplay. Kevin Lyman of Enchanted will direct. Well, now that you know about the game's past, let's find out how it plays. The flow of game is very smooth and quick, taking on average only a few seconds to take a turn. Simply draw a card, move to that space it tells you to, and that's it. Turn over. Heck, the only thing that would be faster than taking a turn in this game would be a fat man who just got told there were free Krispy Kreme donuts down the street. Flow of game gets a 5 out of 5. Game time is quick. However, exact game time varies due to different variables, such as the number of players, if someone lands on a lose a turn spot, or if someone has to go back. To test this game, it was just me and my little sis. We played with various players' scenarios, and here is what we found out. With 2 players playing with the go back rule, it takes up to 2 minutes and 29.75 seconds. With 3 players playing with the go back rule, it takes up to 2 minutes and 53.5 seconds. With 4 players playing with the go back rule, it takes up to 3 minutes and 21.5 seconds. So after averaging these numbers up, I discovered that on average, you can expect a game to last about 2 minutes and 55 seconds, giving Candyland a 5 out of 5. The game board is something to behold. It is just nice to look at. The game pieces as well as the cards are also nice. You can tell someone spent a lot of time into designing the looks of this game. Graphics get a 5 out of 5. Pickup and play factor is very high, kind of like Joaquin Phoenix the last time he was on David Letterman. Pickup and play factor is good for everyone. Anybody can go into this game not knowing how to play and within the first few minutes be a master. A 5 out of 5. I remember when I was a kid, this was one of my favorite board games. I loved this thing. Reviewing it now, however, I find that there are others that are my favorite. But that doesn't mean I never want to play this game. It's awesome, it's simple, and it mainly depends on the mood you're in. For kids, I would give wanna play factor a 5 out of 5. For teens and adults, I'd say more like a 3 out of 5. Now let's tally up the score. Flow of game, 5 out of 5. Game time, 5 out of 5. Graphics, 5 out of 5. Pick up and play factor, 5 out of 5. Wanna play factor, 3 out of 5. Total, 23 out of 25, giving Candyland a 92%. Congrats, Candyland, you get a grade of A+. Now, would I recommend this? You bet your sweet lollipops. Everyone should have a copy of Candyland in their house, either the old or the new. I have played both and both score the same. An awesome game for you and your whole family. Did you see what you want to see? Oh, I reattached your legs while you were watching that, so you're all set up. Is there something else? What's wrong? Alpha? Alpha? Alpha?
Thank you very much. We have an announcement to make. On July 4th of this year, America will blow up the moon.